Hi, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of Mornings with Bob Marone. We are, of course, part of Radio Westchester, and I couldn't think of a better way to begin our reemergence post-COVID than with the story and the person I have to talk with you today. And once again, COVID has struck people in many ways. It has struck my guest in that she lost her job due to COVID, as many of us did a couple of years ago. But we're not really here to talk about that, although it's a compounding issue. We're here to talk about breast cancer. In just a day or two, my guest will be going into the hospital for a mastectomy. She has breast cancer. She will have had 2 surgeries in the next several months. But before we get to it, let me introduce my guest and let me tell you about something I want you to do right now. And you'll see some information listed in this package as you receive it in this video package. I want you to think about GoFundMe. I want you to go search, and I want you to search for the title, Please Help Me Fight Breast Cancer. The name associated with it, and my guest today is none other than the person who we're helping, if you will, or we're talking with. Stacy Weldon, hi, how are you?
Hi, Bob. I'm okay. How are you?
Very well. I know Stacy now going on some 20 years, was a professional in a big corporation, as many of us have been. And as you know, the world turns, and it has turned for her as well. Now, Stacy, you need the GoFundMe page. I'll explain to people why. But the deeper story is what you're actually going through and why you're doing this. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You don't have to give you a specific age. I like my life, so you look very young. But is it fair to say you're entering middle age?
I am going to be 60 this year, and
you're not.
I'm proud to say it. Yes, I am. Thank you.
God bless you. Okay, you're going to be 60 this year, and well, let's get right to it. You're going to be 60. You've been gainfully employed almost all of your life until COVID hit. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, it is.
Let's get down to cases. I want people to get to know you. You live alone?
I live with my brother. He lives with me now. He moved in a few years ago.
You do live with your brother?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just the 2 of us left. We lost our other brother and our mother in the last 10 years.
Okay. Now, the other thing is, you were getting ready to start a new job.
Yes,
you were
in
emerging
October.
Out of COVID, ready to go back to work, and you went for mammogram. Take us from there.
Well, I didn't have a mammogram during COVID, so I missed my 2020 mammogram. So I went in June of 2021. I always go to start out the summer so I can get it off my plate. And no big deal. I got a letter. They said, we found something. I've had those letters before. Come on back in. I went in. They said, we have to send you to the hospital. So I went in and had an ultrasound, and it came out that I had breast cancer, stage 1. And I was floored because I do not have breast cancer on either side of my family. So I went and had my lumpectomy. They got the tumor out. And they sent some of my cells out for to be reviewed by a pathology department. Came back and said that they found more cancer.
That had to be a shock because, if I may, stage 1, a lumpectomy. It sounds like, hey, I avoided a bullet here. I ducked a bullet, and I'm sure you felt that way.
Yes, I did.
Now, they sent those other cells out. You probably weren't too worried.
Yeah, I was really worried, and it took a long time. And I just figured the longer it took, the better it was, because if it was a big deal, they would have called me right back. But with COVID, everything just takes longer now. So they came back and they said I had, in addition to hormone positive, HR2 negative, I had ductal invasive carcinoma situ in the cells.
The situ cell. What does situ mean?
Situ means, and I had to look this up, it means it's in place, which means it's not spreading. So I have a boob full of cancer, but thankfully it's not spreading at this point.
Outside of the breast.
Outside of the breast, correct. And during my second lumpectomy, they took out 2 lymph nodes and they checked them. Thankfully, they came back negative. But after the second lumpectomy, to go in and get the first DCIS, they found more DCIS. So I'm still sitting with a bunch of this carcinoma in my breast. So I am going for a mastectomy on Monday.
Okay.
I just can't take it anymore. Get it done.
I wrote a note here. You had up to 20 more cells that they identified.
That's what's sitting in my breast now, after what they've already removed.
Now, as this thing evolved from stage 1 in situ, as you said, it's not spreading, non-invasive, but now we're up to 20 after the second lumpectomy. Now, is this your right or your left breast?
Left.
Okay.
And the reason I don't mean to cut you off, but
no, you should.
I have big boobs, as you know. And
I'd have no idea. I see nothing. You're just
beach house, everybody. Calm down.
You're just another carbon-based life form. Go ahead.
But they're very dense. So they literally had to go in and wade through cells, and that's how they found more of the cancer.
Okay. Now, your other breast, which would be your right breast.
Yes.
Okay. That has no signs of cancer. They've done that.
It has a benign tumor in it, so we're just going to leave it there. It's not positive at all. It's doing nothing.
Okay. Now, if you go through these steps, and I know there's more that you're doing, but I just want to frame it right now. If you go through this mastectomy, okay, what is your prognosis?
My prognosis is very good. It's very good, they say. I was told a while back, if I have the mastectomy, I've got a 93% chance of being all clear for breast cancer in the future. And I thought that was pretty good odds, because I happen to know a dear friend of mine who had a double mastectomy and still ended up with new cancer after a decade. And I didn't want to put myself through that if I didn't have to, because African-American women have little nuances to neuropathy, and it involves nerves in your chest. I don't know if a lot of people know, when you have a mastectomy, you have no more feeling in your upper chest area. Which I actually did not know. Okay.
Now, something that you must be concerned about, and before you do, I want to remind people who we are, who you are. I'm Bob Marone, the general manager and anchor here at Radio Westchester. This is a special edition of Mornings with Bob Marone, our anchor program. And we thought one of the best ways to begin our emergence from COVID was to do something that means a lot to a lot of women, which is deal with breast cancer, talk about it a little bit, but also help out a colleague who is dealing with it. And by the time we're done, you will appreciate all the different ramifications. It's not just about the surgery. It's not just about the fear. It's about, how do you live? How do you take care of yourself? How do you pay your bills? And you'll see up on your screen information for a GoFundMe page. That GoFundMe page can be found by go to GoFundMe, go to the search bar and type in, "Please help me fight breast cancer." There's also a link, GoFundMe.me-B7F0536B. You don't have to remember that. We'll send you that information. We encourage you to go on. And even when we're done, folks, you will appreciate why we're doing this when you see the other factors that are involved. So once again, GoFundMe, go to the search bar. Please help me fight breast cancer. Stacy Weldon is her name, longtime professional with a large firm. And like many of us, came COVID, away went her job. Now, she was in the midst of literally getting ready to start a new job when she couldn't after this diagnosis, because now she had the issue of testing, planning for surgery, and putting money aside to pay for the time she would be out of work, at least 3 months, in addition to where we are today. And we'll get into some of the financial issues in a little while. But I do want to return to where we were, Stacy. I'm you, or I'm pretending I am.
Yep.
All the breasts, but I'm you. And they're going to do a mastectomy.
Mm-hmm.
Are you not worried about the other breast, or is your type of cancer the type that they don't expect to show up there?
Well, it's a long answer, but to try to truncate it a little bit, because I am hormone positive, it means I am predisposed to what I call lady cancers in the future.
Oh, sure. Uterine, ovarian
cancer,
things like that. Yeah.
So since I didn't have an issue in my right breast and I was already predisposed, I figured I'm just going to take my chances, because my breast surgeon told me that I will be tested and looked after for the first 3 to 5 years so often that even if they find something, they'll be able to remove it immediately. And that really put me at ease of mainly keeping a little bit of sensitivity in my chest area. And I think that for some people, it might not be that important, but I felt that since I had a 50-50 shot anyway, I was going to give it a go and see what happens.
Okay, give it a go and see what happens. 50-50 shot. These are all sound like a gambler. Have any of the doctors recommended a double mastectomy, or are they, by and large, confident with the path you're on?
I had my first surgeon. We were just starting to talk about my mastectomy options, and I was leaning towards a double mastectomy. And then I decided to get a second opinion, and it turned out to be a doctor who is a chief of breast surgery at UPenn Hospital. And she actually kind of sort of talked me out of a double mastectomy because the cancer that I had was such a low grade, and it wasn't aggressive. It was situ. It was just sitting there. And with the removal of the lymph nodes, because what I also didn't know is cancer doesn't travel laterally. It travels through your lymph nodes. Mm-hmm. That I just had a really, really good shot of it not returning.
Now, you
had the one breast.
Are you going to have lymph nodes removed as well?
I've already had that done in October.
Okay. Now, completely the lymph nodes on that side are gone?
Yes.
Okay. Because I thought you had maybe one. Again, I'm not knowledgeable about how many lymph nodes we have under our.
Well, I don't know how many lymph nodes we have either, but she took the two largest ones that were right by my breast, and essentially what she created, she told me, is like a firewall. So if there were any cancer left, which there shouldn't be because they're taking my entire breast, it would have nowhere to travel. So that's why she took the two lymph nodes out.
That's interesting. And it's interesting what you said. And one understands then why cancer can metastasize the way it does.
Yes.
Since it doesn't go breast to breast. It in fact goes through the whole lymph network.
Yeah. And that's actually what happened to a friend of mine. Yes. She had the double mastectomy, and cancer has come back and it's metastasized in her lymph nodes.
Okay, now the surgery that you'll have on Monday will be the beginning really of a process.
Yes.
Tell us what happens Monday and then tell us what some of the other steps are going to be, Stacey.
So, first of all, I didn't want any silicone in my breasts. I told my plastic surgeon I don't want to look like a Beverly Hills housewife. Thank you very much. I'm also, in addition to the mastectomy, I'm having a tummy tuck, and they're going to take the fat from my tummy and rebuild my left breast. And they're going to take some of the fat to lift up and shape the right breast to match the left breast.
Okay, so in effect, you won't have to have any silicone put in you. There'll be hopefully enough belly fat to put in and even out your breast.
Yeah,
now,
and there is.
Pardon?
There's enough fat there.
Okay, well, we don't, again, age and things of that nature we don't mention on this program. Now, what about, and folks, this is a show and an issue for adults, and we're talking about women's health, so we need to be direct. How will they fashion you with a new nipple? Yes.
It's a long process, which I didn't realize. So basically, they're going to, build my breasts, and then they're going to bound me up, and they'll sew up my tummy tuck and everything. I'll have drains out the sides, and then they're going to send me home to heal. And with the exception of 2 checkup appointments in March, my plastic surgeon has indicated that it's going to be at least 6 months before I see him again. I have to be completely healed from the mastectomy.
Okay, so Monday, let me back up and pardon the interruption. Monday is just for the mastectomy.
Correct.
Just to take off the one breast.
Yes.
They're not yet going to rebuild it. They're not yet going
No, they're going to rebuild it.
Oh, they are going to rebuild it, right?
Yeah, they're going to, I'll come out with new breasts, but no nipples, no areolas, anything like that.
Okay. No nipples, no areolas. All right.
Right.
And they will have finished the tummy tuck. So now, what is the next step? No,
so,
don't go. I need to follow hold on. I need to follow my own notes here.
Okay.
You will be home how long after this initial mastectomy and rebuild?
Cross my fingers. Everything goes well, 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
The first 3 weeks or so, I'll pretty much be flat on my back because I need to be as still as possible to not pop stitches. But at the same time, I have to figure out how to scooch off of the bed to go to the bathroom. And I also need to do a little bit of walking every day, they said, but primarily I'll be bedridden.
Yeah, you do have to do some walking to avoid blood clots, things like that.
Correct.
Now, not being a woman and so configured, I have to ask what may seem like an ignorant question, and it is. But this is for people out there who have to go through this. Will there be any kind of a special bra or anything to deal with any pain you might have? Will your breast be held up, do you know?
It's my understanding that I'm not going to need a bra in the beginning because I will be bandaged up.
Okay, good.
I'll have a nurse's aide. He'll be coming in a few times a week for about 3 weeks or so. And eventually we'll get to the point that the bandages will start to come off. If I do need a bra, luckily I kept the bras from the lumpectomies. And so I'll just use them in the interim if I need to.
Okay, because I would think that could be painful. All right, so you're home 6 to 8 weeks. This surgery goes well, and that's the assumption we're going to make. Now, there are other things going on while all this happens, and this is a good time to remind people. You're listening to and watching Radio Westchester's Mornings with Bob Marone. I am Bob Marone. This is our first show under that brand since we closed for COVID. And what a way to come back. But to deal with an issue that affects so many women, it affected me. I lost a sister to it. I lost a dear friend to it. I also have some friends who, like I expect your case will be, Stacey, that everything went quite well, what with the new technologies and treatments for breast cancer. And it's something we're glad to do. Stacy, as you know, will be going in, for those of you who've been watching thus far, she'll be going in for a surgery on Monday to have a mastectomy. And we have a GoFundMe page, and you can look, you'll see we will have put it out there, but it's a GoFundMe page, and you go to the search bar and you type in, please help me fight breast cancer. And in a little while, we're not going there yet, we're going to tell you why we want you to go to that page, but we want to give you those facts. First, how to get to it. Again, please help me fight breast cancer after you hit the search. And you'll see her face, and you'll see it says GoFundMe, GoFund.me, #B7F0536. But you don't need to write it down. You don't need to know it. I want your eyes to recognize it when you see it. Now, all these things are going on. Her life goes on. You will be there. You couldn't go back to work. You do not have disability because you couldn't go back to work. I don't even know how you're living now. We'll get to that. So the end of the 6 weeks, you'll have doctors to pay. Now, I wrote some numbers here. You're going to repeat them later. Your insurance, you have a single payer form of insurance. It pays, you have to lay $8,700 out of your own money before it's covered. That's your deductible. All the while, you're paying $725 a month. You have that nurse coming in. You will be on your back. You will have had some surgeries. And the gas and electric and everything else, well, that's another issue. Now, let's move forward. What comes after these 6 or 8 weeks?
Well, I have to, life goes on. I have to find a job. So once I'm deemed strong enough, I'm going to go out and find another job. And then I go back to the plastic surgeon 6 months after I've signed off at full recovery. And at that point, we will start to shape the breasts into exactly what we want them to look like. And after that, the last session, they will build the nipples. It's like origami, literally.
Okay.
They have sewn extra skin into the lump of breast, and then there's a tattoo artist, and it looks like a real nipple. But
that's interesting.
It's also it's just skin that they have sewn on. Okay,
so that's how they do it. I know, because there are 2 ways. Sometimes they move the erectile tissue from elsewhere in the body, and so, but you're going to go the tattoo way. Now, folks, the reason we're getting reasonably graphic here, this is no day at the beach, and women appreciate this. I'd like to think I do, but much more than we men do, and it is an ordeal that most of us would love to skip if we could. Now, I want to say a little bit about your carriage. When we spoke about this, you seem nervous. You don't seem nervous now, but you're going under the knife Monday. And I know I grew up with a house full of women. I lost as many other people did, lost my sister to it. A woman losing her breast is emotionally no small thing. Can you talk about that a little bit?
It has taken, I was diagnosed with breast cancer in June of 2021. And it has taken a long time for me to get to the point that I can even talk about it without crying. It really messes with your head. It really, really does. And it wasn't so much why this happened to me. It was, for me, it's, how am I going to function? And everybody's going to know I've got fake boobs. And what if they're horrible? And, what if I meet someone and, it's a problem? I've been to some really, really dark places these past, 6-8 months. And there's just really no way to sugarcoat it. You just, they're going to whack your boobs off, and, you have to find a way to live with it. And whatever that looks like for you. I've been sort of organizing the heck out of my house to be busy, to stay busy, to not think about it. I've focused on other things that really aren't that important to avoid thinking about it. But at the end of the day, Monday is here basically, and there's just no turning back. And the way I have rationalized it to myself is, if they have to take my boobs to save my life, then so be it. And once I got to that mindset, it made things a lot easier, but it took me a while.
What about the fact, I mean, you've used blunt language like hack your boobs off, et cetera. What about the fact, and there's no sense avoiding it, that especially in our society, well, forget any human being, not just a woman who's going to lose a part of themselves in any way, but in our body-centric society, and where women grow up with my figure is everything. Do I look good in my sweater, et cetera, et cetera. Can you talk about that a little bit? I mean, do you feel you're going to be different because of this?
I used to, in the beginning, I did think that I was going to feel differently. Like, you see a lot of commercials where, they're shining a light on somebody's, individual issue that they think everybody is staring at. And I just, in the beginning kind of felt like there was just going to be no way to hide this. And when I stepped out into the public, people were going to know that I was a victim of breast cancer and had, my breasts recreated just by looking at my face. And it was, there were many weeks where I just didn't get out of bed for like days at a time.
I can understand that.
Because I had just beat myself up so much because I was angry that I was just thinking superficially. And then I was angry because I was angry at myself for thinking that way when, it's cancer. So my mom just taught me that you just have to, whatever life throws at you, you just have to get up and just keep it moving. And that's what I'm trying to do. And it's been relatively good. I'd say since mid-December, just trying to keep a positive mindset and just, moving forward, trying to get to this day, Monday.
Well, people who are seeing this and hearing this can see how your bravery and how you're dealing with this, which is very commendable. Once again, my guest, Stacey Weldon, she is a breast cancer sufferer, and we're going to follow up too with her and do another show after her surgery, and she will be a breast cancer survivor, and that'll be wonderful to say. And she has a GoFundMe page, and we're going to get into now why she needs this help. Go to GoFundMe, go to the little search thing that looks like a magnifying glass, and type in, please help me fight breast cancer. I'm going to say it again. Please help me fight breast cancer. We'll put information out on we're going out on many different sites from Facebook and YouTube and things. We'll make sure you have that. But just in case you're like me and technically limited, all you have to do is go to GoFundMe. Please help me fight breast cancer. The name is Stacey Weldon. She has a goal of $20,000. She's up to $4,070 when I checked before we went on the air. Let's talk about the realities of this. You have faced the medical reality. You're looking it square in the eye. Monday you go in. The rest we've talked about. How the hell are you paying your bills?
Well, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I had no debt. My car is paid off. It's a 08 Saturn. I don't have a big mortgage. And I did everything right, I thought. I had 6 months of savings saved up in case I got laid off. But I wasn't prepared for being laid off and then getting breast cancer.
That would have been, had you made that plan, you would have needed a crystal ball. So go ahead.
Right. And what happened was when I found a job that I was going to start in October of 2021, after my September lumpectomy, my first lumpectomy, and they told me they found more cancer, I went back to the company and said that, I can't start right now because I'm having some medical issues. And I just didn't think it would be fair to be a brand new hire and be like, oh, I have to leave every day for chemo or radiation, and I'm not feeling well today. So, this, that, and the other. And I just figured, you know what, I think I'm just going to try to handle this on my own. I've been the caretaker of my mother and my brother, both who have passed on. And, I'm going to be 60 this year. And I've never really taken any time for myself to do anything. And I just said, I deserve this. And I am going to, I'm just going to, figure it out. So I had a couple of really, really great friends who, one did help me significantly financially with some things. And I still have some money left, not much, plus, what the GoFundMe is. And I've been researching, different grants here and there. But with COVID, the grant programs are really low. And what I have found out is, people that are awarded grants are typically stage 3 and stage 4.
Of course, yes.
Whereas, stage 1, I get a lot of virtual resources, which is great as well. So I've applied for 9 grants so far, and I've only been approved for 1.
Well, the future's still the future. There's time to make this happen for you. Now, you said you live with your brother. Is he able to help you in any way?
He does, but it's not enough.
Okay. I wouldn't think that it is. Do you know if there'll be any chemo involved after you do these surgeries?
At this point, because my cancer was low grade, there is no chemo, but there may be radiation.
Okay, there may be radiation.
Yeah, they did some work on my report, and there's a chemo scorecard, and it said that I would benefit less than 1% for chemo. So they've taken chemo off the table, but radiation is an option down the road if necessary.
Again, our guest is Stacy Weldon. Stacy is a breast cancer sufferer who's going in for surgery this coming Monday. She has a GoFundMe page. It's GoFundMe. Go on the search bar. Please help me fight breast cancer. Specifically, those are the words. Please help me fight breast cancer. That will take you to her page. Also, we will have provided you, and we do provide you with information now. Stacy, when you look ahead, I want to go back to these numbers. You bought, thank goodness, a single payer insurance program, but an $8,700 deductible. Yikesies. And $725. I mean, so you're going to be out of pocket more money than you earn because you're not working.
Right.
Almost $16,000 before you even get going.
Yeah.
And again, I know your brother's there, so you got a little help, but it's not enough. You really do need this. You need this help. And it's now. What about you? Have you used up your unemployment already? Is that gone as well? You can't.
That's gone.
You don't have any.
That's been gone since the summer.
Well, if anyone out there, if you can think of some ways, you can email me. I'm going to give an email address now, Bob@RadioWestchester.com. That's Bob at radiowestchester.com. If you know of any entities that will help her in terms of grants, etc., please call me on that, email me on that account. Now, I know you long enough to know it could not have been easy to go to a GoFundMe.
It wasn't.
Talk about that.
I've been holding it together pretty well. Now you're going to make me cry. I have always been the provider. I've always been able to take care of myself. I took care of my mom.
There's one in every family, you know.
Yeah.
It was you.
Yeah. It was me. I'm actually the oldest of three. Now it's just two. But I have a hard time asking for help. And I felt like after 20 years at my former company that maybe I should have saved more money than I did, even though having no debt and 6 months of savings is pretty darn good if you ask me. But I saw it as a failure that I wasn't able to take care of myself.
Oh, and blaming yourself. This is really good. Yeah, you did this to yourself. That's a marvelous idea.
And I was worried about, it's COVID and so many people are unemployed, Bob, and people might need the money more than I do. And so it was, I really, really, really dragged my feet on it until I just realized when I was doing the numbers through the end of December that there was just no way I was going to make it.
Yeah. And you know what I don't think we've emphasized enough, but I will now. This is a story about a woman with breast cancer, but it's also a story about how COVID has complicated so many things. Lots of us lost our businesses or jobs because of COVID. But you hope during that stretch, good God, please let there be no calamities. And you didn't get lucky that way. In fact, you had a job teed up, you're ready to go. I remember you calling me about it. I got a job, it's great. How's your radio station doing? Let's not talk about that. No, but you were so happy, and then this. And if it weren't for COVID, you would have been entrenched in a job. And had this happened 3 years from now, there was insurance, all kinds of other things. So don't play that game. Look forward. I mean, I shouldn't be lecturing you. I'm not the one going in for surgery, but I hope you will look forward, because just looking at your countenance and everything else, emotionally, you're going to get through this fine. And you know what? There's something about asking for help that takes a special kind of bravery, and you've done that. Is there anything that you'd like to say before we wrap up and remind people what we're talking about?
First and foremost, I think for women, but men too, is go get your monthly exam first and foremost. You just never know, and it doesn't matter if you don't have a history of any kind of cancer in your family. It happened to me, and I think that I kind of noticed, Bob, when you were saying like, oh, I was, blaming myself for this, because that's what women do, I think, in a lot of instances for everything.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I couldn't pull myself out of my depression until I was like, all right, Stacey Weldon, you have got to really focus on putting yourself first. Which was a little bit easier for me to do because I don't have kids, but, it was still hard to, get out of bed and make a cup of coffee. and listen to your body. Listen to your body. If you don't like going to the hospital, at least find a good primary caregiver that you can visit once a year. I think it's so important now because of, me going into my 60s now. I never really realized how important it was before, because nothing was ever really wrong with me. But it's, you have to make yourself a priority. Really do. And you as a person are worth all the time that you put into yourself.
Well,
really
it seems to me that Stacy needs to do with Stacy. You need to do for you what you've done for everybody else.
I can help everybody else, but I have a really hard time myself asking for it.
But I tell you what we're going to do, within the next few days, this is going to be out on a number of websites, Facebook, YouTube. We have this little network of our own. But what we're also going to do, and it doesn't happen enough in these kinds of situations, we're going to do a follow-up. Wait a couple of months, let you heal up, because then we'll let the people who helped you know how well you did. And if you still need more when we come back, well, we'll ask for more. But more importantly, they'll get to see a smile on your face. You'll be all renewed. And by the way, we have one issue with this. You keep telling people you're going to be 60, okay? And the problem with it is, I don't know what you eat or what else you do, but they're not going to believe that. She looks perfectly healthy to me, so you got to look at her. She looks 40 years old. What the heck is going on?
My mother had great genes, and she passed away at 70 from complications from diabetes. Yeah. And she was, she had shriveled and all of that. But I'm telling you, that woman did not have a wrinkle on her face when she died.
Yeah, well, obviously it is genetic. Good for you. Well, don't go anywhere. I want to remind people, my name is Bob Marone. You know me as the general manager and anchor of Radio Westchester. We have been, like so many other businesses, in hiatus. And I thought, what better way to come back than to focus on breast cancer through a friend and someone I know who needs our help. Her name is Stacy Weldon. She has a GoFundMe page, and all of you know by now why she needs it. The money issue. She lost her job due to COVID. And when she was about to start her new job, this happened. So she couldn't start the new job. And so she's been getting by on savings and literally a little help from her friends and a little help from her brother. But she doesn't have enough to make ends meet. Some of the numbers, she pays $8,700 deductible for medical and $725 a month for the insurance. That's even before we start the wheel. Of course, she's got rent, electric, food, everything else that people don't buy any clothes. You don't need clothes, but whatever.
No.
I'm just kidding. Whatever you need. And she does need the help. She has a GoFundMe page, and it's easy to find. And just remember why we're here. The title of the page is "Please Help Me Fight Breast Cancer." And if you type that in, her face will come up. And you can show your support by donating to her. And for those of you who are with organizations who feel that you may help in some other way, because we have reached out to some of you, grant-wise perhaps, or even if she should need some sort of, and you might, I don't know if you've joined any support groups or whatever, please email me at bob@radiowestchester.com. That's bob@radiowestchester.com. And of course, we'd love you to donate on, again, the GoFundMe page. Please help me fight breast cancer. And this is the woman who needs the help. Stacy, you're a brave woman.
Thanks,
Bob. It's been a pleasure to do this. Go in there with, as my mother used to teach me, go in there with your chin up in the air and say, hook me up, and do what you have to do. And God bless you. Thank you for being with us today. Anything else you want to say? And we'll be on our way.
Okay, no, I just want to thank everybody for listening to my story, and, know that it could happen to anyone. It really could. There just doesn't seem to be any method to the way cancer picks its victims now.
It is capricious and arbitrary, my friend. But you know what? You did do the right thing. You went for your mammogram. What a way to end. And you saved your butt. Well, thank you so very much, folks. I'm Bob Marone for Radio Westchester and Mornings with Bob Marone. Thank you so much for watching and listening.